In the early days of World War II, Germany launches the invasion of Poland. The Nazis seek to acquire ancient magical artifacts that could potentially alter the course of history and turn the tide of the war in their favor. To combat the Nazis, the US assembles a team of superheroes which consists of Rex Tyler, a scientist known as Hourman for his powers that last an hour, hot-headed Dinah Lance, also known as Black Canary, the original speedster Jay Garrick, Carter Hall, who's known as Hawkman. Finally, Wonder Woman is tasked with leading this team to end the war. In the present day, Barry Allen takes his long-term girlfriend, Iris West, on a charming picnic in the vibrant city of Metropolis. However, Iris is feeling discontented with Barry's constant preoccupation with his superhero duties. As if on cue, an explosion reverberates in the distance, and Barry is granted permission to spring into action and save the day. Superman is fighting Brainiac's army of droids and he appears to be in a bit of a pickle. The Flash arrives to help Superman out and gets him out of the entanglement with the droid and their tentacles. They suggest teaming up as the Justice League is not a thing yet in this movie. However, their collaboration is swiftly met with a grave setback when Brainiac produces a kryptonite bullet that weakens Superman considerably. The Flash valiantly attempts to press forward and thwart Brainiac's plans, only to discover that the bullet is hurtling toward the exposed Superman. In a desperate bid to save his ally, the Flash accelerates to such an extraordinary speed that he inadvertently journeys back in time. Within the Speed Force, a mysterious voice urges him to keep running. Amidst the chaos of war, Wonder Woman finds herself at the forefront of a relentless assault by Nazi soldiers. With remarkable skill and finesse, she dispatches the soldiers with ease, single-handedly reclaiming an entire city block. Just like your project partners in college, Hawkman arrives after the work is done to tell her that they have less than an hour to go. A beam of energy surfaces in the air and the Flash speeds through it, crashing into Wonder Woman, who grabs him right away. Noticing his symbol, she assumes that he's a Nazi speedster. Wonder Woman hands him to Dinah and leaves to take care of another matter. Flash thinks he's dead but chases after the first sound of trouble that he hears and finally figures out what's happening.
Nazis?
In a very cool super slow-mo sequence, Flash cleans up the squad of Nazis. Uncharacteristically, the Flash finds himself short of breath, a puzzling anomaly for the renowned Scarlet Speedster. He's grabbed by Wonder Woman again as the entire team arrives. Flash tries to explain that he's from the future, but as usual, no one believes him. There is more enemy fire from Nazi planes, but Steve shoots it down before being taken down himself. Recognizing that Hawkman will not arrive in time to save Steve, the Flash takes it upon himself to intervene, which should be a walk in the park. Alarmingly, the Flash's speed is diminishing, but Jay arrives to help him as both speedsters work together to repel the plane. Wonder Woman thanks him and apologizes for misjudging him earlier. The team plans their final plan of attack and Flash is in disbelief that there are all these heroes working together on one team. As the Flash escorts Steve to safety, he contemplates how he could have remained unaware of this extraordinary team in his own future. Known as the Justice Society, this clandestine assembly laid the foundations for what became the Justice League decades later. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the team decimates the remaining Nazi forces. Jay swiftly confiscates their weaponry. Hourman effortlessly lifts an entire tank, and Wonder Woman strikes fear into the hearts of the remaining soldiers, prompting their surrender. Later, they fabricate a false report to conceal the existence and involvement of the heroes. The Flash is nicknamed Future Boy by the team, and he is introduced to a somewhat familiar face named Shakespeare. In a completely random moment, Steve very casually proposes to Wonder Woman, and no one aside from the Flash seems to be bewildered by the scene. Apparently, Steve proposes every day, and every day Wonder Woman says no. One day she's gonna say yes though. Keep trying, Steve. Back at their headquarters, Wonder Woman expresses her frustration because they're not ending the war. She suggests that Flash could end it in a matter of hours, but they argue about the time paradox and the possible consequences of altering the timeline. They receive encoded intel about a mystery weapon acquired by the Nazis. To decipher the message, they need to find and rescue a man with extraordinary mystical abilities who can crack any code given to him, albeit he might be a little insane. Recognizing the importance of Future Boy's powers, the team welcomes him aboard for the mission. The team stealthily approaches a Nazi castle. Wasting no time, Wonder Woman barges in and Flash swiftly stops the Nazi fire and takes out the assailant. In the distance, they hear a harrowing scream. In another room, Jay and Hourman find themselves pinned down as Jay's powers have been acting up since the Flash's arrival. Nevertheless, he still has enough juice to clear out an entire room full of Nazis by himself. They reach a gated prison cell and find a lot of blood inside as it appears to be a torture chamber. Meanwhile, Shakespeare explores another room and stumbles upon a young kid who is in terrible condition. The kid delivers a package to him that looks like Superman's outfit, and he's cryptically told that he'll know what to do with it. He's curious as to who's behind the message, but he's abruptly shot by a Nazi soldier. Mysteriously though, the bullets bounced off of him. Back in the torture chamber, they tear through the door and Hawkman recognizes the troubled captive and breaks his shackles. Suddenly, the air crackled with mystical energy, sparks dancing in every direction. The team confronts Shakespeare regarding the bullets that bounced off of him, and in a surprising twist, he reveals that his name is actually Clark Kent. Flash immediately recognizes him, but Superman has no idea who he is. This Clark Kent is different, a selfish version of the Superman we know. He had lost his parents at a young age and grew up in an orphanage. The Flash grappled with the bewildering realization that he hadn't traveled back in time, but rather crossed over into an alternate universe. The enigmatic magician is working his magic as the entire team is mesmerized by what he can do. He appears to be talking to himself ominously. Flash recognizes him from his helmet as the man who told him to keep running while crossing universes. The team discusses the multiverse theory as the Flash explains what's happening. Suddenly, the magician warns everyone to get ready for what's coming before he vanishes away, leaving no trace behind. The coordinates in the message turn out to be in the Bermuda Triangle, and Wonder Woman asks for a ship to go investigate. Soon, they found themselves inside a submarine, confronted by 3 enemy vessels. The ships drop bombs on them and cause several leaks in the sub. But the ever-handy Flash picks up the tools and gets to work repairing the damage. But all this speeding seems to be taking its toll. With the engine rendered powerless, both speedsters pool their electrical energy generated through their superhuman speed to kickstart it. Finally, Wonder Woman has had enough. She swims out in the open and sends the bombs back up to the Nazis. A return to sender special as it looks like it's the 4th of July. She mounts back the sub like a badass, before some unknown troopers swoop in and start taking out the rest. Funny enough, they order the superheroes to pull over, and they comply. They find themselves in an outpost inhabited by the people of Atlantis who look down on the people who live above them. They're taken to meet King Aquaman, who doesn't want to intervene on surface-level issues. But since the Nazis won't stop until they conquer everything, he decides to help. He tells them that he has something that might turn the tide in their favor, but we are shocked to find that he betrays and imprisons the team. Aquaman is a Nazi. It appears that he is under the control of this counselor who set up the entire sequence of events right from the delivery of the coded message. Although Aquaman briefly exhibited doubt about his actions, the counselor swiftly regained control of his mind. Trapped within the magical confinement, both speedsters explain that the Speed Force is one source of power that a speedster draws from. The more speedsters there are, the smaller the piece of the pie. In their own universes, it's only them, so they get the full force to themselves. Nevertheless, they combine their powers to empower the Flash to phase through the floor and escape the magical trap. Flash effortlessly defeated the Atlanteans and disabled the trap, but he learned that the Atlanteans and the Nazis are going to be launching a surprise attack on US soil through the East Coast. Aquaman also intends to unlock a cage containing some sort of monster. The Flash and Wonder Woman board a small submarine in pursuit of Aquaman. Inside, Flash comes across an Atlantean pressure suit, which he dons. Jay swiftly eliminates the Atlantean troops on the submarine and rescues the crew. Aquaman tries to summon his creature, but the Flash interrupts him as he and Wonder Woman retaliate. The counselor momentarily seizes control of Wonder Woman's mind, directing her toward Aquaman, who was just beginning to regain his senses. Eventually, Aquaman unleashes the Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
The invaders land on US shores and immediately wreak havoc on the city. The heroes swiftly arrive to try and protect the city and defeat the invaders, but it won't be easy. A flying monster emerges from the water and squashes a tank before even more monsters appear. Suddenly, the Kraken surfaces with Aquaman, and the counselor leading it to destroy the city. The team splits up, aiming to defeat the Kraken while safeguarding the city. Black Canary gets snatched by the flying monster and Hourman swoops in to save her. However, he sustains a fatal injury in the process, and their confrontation ends in a crash landing. In his final moments, Hourman implores Black Canary to embrace hope and tear down the walls that confine her. Overwhelmed by grief, Black Canary unleashes a scream of cataclysmic force, tearing apart their adversaries. Meanwhile, Jay continues to defend the city, eliminating the alien invaders. The Flash and Wonder Woman resurface, and Wonder Woman immediately goes after Aquaman. Chaos continues throughout the city and Hourman is shot before Steve saves him. The clash between Wonder Woman and Aquaman intensifies until Aquaman eventually triumphs. Witnessing this, Steve rushes to her aid. The flying creature screeches at Black Canary, but she shows it how it's done. Jay is still running around the city. He uses one of the creatures to take out the troopers before throwing a bunch of grenades inside its body to finally defeat it from within. Steve rams Aquaman and continues to fire his gun at him, but he is no match for Aquaman, who quickly beats him. Just as Aquaman is on the verge of delivering a fatal blow, Wonder Woman intervenes. Even in heels, she continues to be a badass and breaks Aquaman's trident, blowing them all away. Aquaman regains consciousness, his mind finally clear, and is instantly horrified by the devastation he has caused. Overwhelmed by guilt, he departs with the Kraken, retreating into the depths of the ocean. However, the counselor remains, reveling in his triumph as multiple bombers approach the city. In a horrifying turn of events, he fatally stabs Steve from behind, just before the Flash can incapacitate him. With the bombers approaching, Flash has to take off to stop them, and he is joined by Wonder Woman, while Steve succumbs to his wounds. In the face of despair, one hero finally realizes his true destiny: Superman. Adorned in his iconic cape, he embarks on a relentless rampage to single-handedly take out every single bomber. After he is done, Superman explains to the heroes that he couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer and had to intervene. Wonder Woman discovers Steve's condition and rushes to his side. With his dying act, he proposes to her one last time, and she finally says yes. Tragically, he does not live long enough to see the ring on her finger. Later, Wonder Woman gives Barry the engagement ring to keep and tells him not to repeat her mistake. He understands her message, and along with Jay, they run together to send Barry back to his world. Flash returns to the point where he left off, pursuing the kryptonite bullet. Swiftly seizing it, he hurls it back at Brainiac, terminating him with deadly precision. Before Superman departs, Flash implores him to initiate something greater than both of them, a team dedicated to fighting for justice and repelling such threats. Once it is all said and done, Barry compensates for the missed picnic with Iris as he tells her about his adventurous week. He recites Wonder Woman and Steve's words to Iris before proposing to her using Steve's ring. Blatant plagiarism, Barry. She accepts, and they live happily ever after. Or do they? This movie answered a lot of questions that we would ask on a daily basis. What would happen if superheroes were involved in real wars and intervened? We got exactly that as we watched The Flash and Superman and World War II in less than a week. It was a great movie that introduced a new wave of DC animated films that followed and further proved why they reigned supreme in the realm of comic book animations. If only their live-action movies were this great. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me what you think about this film. Do you love seeing the Flash jump through time and explore other time periods? How do you think the world would look like if any of the heroes joined the Nazis? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.